This is a show that brings to the forefront newsmakers, entertainers, and those making a difference in our lives and in our world. Each week is a new adventure with topics ranging from the most serious and cutting edge to the most lighthearted and entertaining.
This is Taking Care of Business with Richard Solomon.
Greetings, everyone. Richard Solomon. You're listening to Bluerace. Listen to this. And this is from their soon-to-be-released album. This particular track is called Staring into the Sun. All right, so Richard Solomon here, and I got Bluerace. So who do we got in this? We got the whole crew. So who's here?
Roger Diller is here.
Okay, and what do you play?
Lead guitar.
Okay.
Tom Chincarelli, lead vocals, guitar, keyboards.
Victor Mercado, drums and backup vocals.
All right, welcome to our show. We're principally here because you're going to be playing at my father's place.
Yes.
And this is very exciting because this is the new my father's place. So we like to think that there was sort of an interruption of business. It stopped, long hiatus. They did that with Dallas. Remember Dallas, the TV show? JR and Bobby and Miss Ellie, they had their thing, and then there was like a 30-year absence, and they're back on. And right, so it was all that stuff. Make sure to talk into the mic. All right,
that didn't go too well.
So welcome to our humble studios, and we're so excited, and we're going to play some music, and so let's talk about you guys. So you guys principally perform what kind of music, and how'd you guys get started?
It's kind of eclectic. It's pop rock, I guess. It started really with Roger's guitar sounds, and we play two different styles of guitar. So Roger and I met a long time ago at a jam session, and the people we were playing with, they said, we should start a band. And I was like, and then they said, no, we should start a band and do original music. And I said, okay, I'm interested. I'll sign on. And out of that original group of people, Roger and I stayed together over the years, and that's the origins of the band.
Wow. And then you've been performing ever since?
Yes.
We have been performing ever since.
Yeah. Now, I happen to be fortunate enough to have albums, if you still call them that.
And we still call them that.
Right?
Yes.
So I have. So there's two albums.
Sometimes people still buy them.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And World is Ready. That's your first album.
That was our first album. Came out in 2009.
All right, cool. And it's got 10 songs on it, and it's a beautiful album. And we'll be playing some cuts from there. And then your follow-up album, I guess, for lack of a better word, is this one, which is, and this is called Beautiful Sky. Yep. And it was recorded in Long Island, of all places.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. So you're all local Long Island guys?
No, not me.
No. Well, what do you live in Long Island now?
I live up north of Manhattan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, close enough. You're still within the Long Island Metropolitan Avenue area.
He's in commuting distance.
All right. So let's give everybody a great taste of something. So should we play Secrets of the World?
Sure.
All right, let's do that. All right, so everybody out there, we're going to play a song that's going to be...
And that's off of our upcoming CD.
Tentatively titled, or the working title anyway, is the Blue Album.
All right, so here we go.
the day. Maybe you fell in love, maybe you learned something you thought you knew. Maybe the sky fell to the ground, maybe you stabbed the bastard down. With all that's waiting to be found, it's your time. Look around, you can't keep it from getting dark outside. But you might as well give it a whirl. 'Cause you never know where you're going to find all the secrets of the world. Hey, hey, you can't keep it from getting dark outside. And I know that it sounds absurd, but it's getting so there's no place to hide. All the secrets of the world.
Wow. Now, that was the FM broadcast premiere of that song, was it not?
Correct.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So
Thank you.
wild things happen on this show. So I have to ask the ultimate question. It's a beautiful song, great harmonies,
Thank you.
great musicianship. I mean, it's just a great song. If you need an extra guy to play like the spoons or the triangle, I'll volunteer. I'll put some time aside and I'll jump on the stage with you.
There you're on.
Well,
You're on.
there is a tambourine on there.
So there you go.
That's right.
All right.
More than one.
All right. So how has your music and your musicianship evolved from the beginning of your work as a band to that song that we just played? How is it matured? How is it evolved? What's different?
I mean, that's an interesting question. I'll say this: what's funny is it's really nice that you played the whole song, because we got played on the radio up in Westchester County, New York, a couple of maybe it was about a year ago now, and they played the song, and the guy at the end, he's like, "Wow, that's like the longest song we've ever played on this show." To which, I just saw the trailer for the Queen movie, and the guy says, "Well, if you think that 6 minutes is long, I feel sorry for your wife."
Bum, bum, bum.
And you'll see that most of our songs are, over 3 minutes.
Yeah, we've never been good at doing the 4-minute pop song.
But you don't need to be. That's the whole point.
Yeah, well, again, we appreciate playing it all the way through. Thanks.
Look. I mean, I have a talk show, but when I have musicians on, I want them to play their music, and I want to share that music with my audience. And the truth is, my audience loves exploring, new music with us.
Yeah.
And not only that, but to hear the people who crafted those songs talk about either the inspiration or the songwriting or,
I mean, when you talk about evolution, I'll say one thing that I've been writing my whole life, and one of the great things that happened is, meeting with Roger, and Roger comes up with musical ideas, while he's in the bathroom practically, all the time. And it's a great thing that he will give me or give us, a piece of music, and then I just make a CD out of it and put it in my car and play it over and over again until I come up with lyrics and a melody. And now, there are a couple songs on the new album that the three of us have written together, which is great.
Now, is it easier or harder to be a three-way collaboration of songwriters?
I find it.
Is it synergistic, or is it kind of too conflict oriented? Because they say there's like a lot of cooks, and there's only so much space in the kitchen.
Well, for me, I don't write lyrics. I write,
And you don't sing.
and I don't sing. and I'm sitting here with this microphone in my face, which is strange anyway. And I
Are you like Jeff Beck? You just kind of go out there without the mic and just kind of jam?
Say a word.
Yeah. Is that like that?
Maybe
Yeah.
I'll say thank you and goodbye and hello.
Drive home safe.
Yeah, drive home safe, everybody.
He has to borrow a microphone.
But I come up with, I noodle around, as they say, and I come up with a little riff, or I come up with a progression, and then I bring it into the band, and I say, check this out.
9 out of 10 of them are cool.
And I hand it over, and Tom, may do a rearrangement of it, and we come back and we have a song.
I mean, we do that, with the factory, the laboratory of songs. We change, like he'll come in with an idea and I say, well, okay, but you got to change that. And, we'll mangle it and turn it into a Bluerace thing out of whatever his idea was. But to have all three of us write together, that's got to happen in the rehearsal studio. That's got to happen. And that's a magic thing when we've been able to do that.
So,
I see it, if I can jump
no,
in.
please. And this is Victor, by the way.
Yeah, I see it as a way, as like when Roger says he's noodling and he'll come up with just like a chord riff or a progression, and it's just a piece of a thing. There are times when Tom comes in and he has, almost an entire song written out. But the thing is, like when we present it, like whether Tom presents it or Roger presents his thing, whatever, to the band, we'll form it out of there. Whether it's almost a complete song, as a lot of times Tom comes up with, or what Roger comes up with, it's like, how does this sound? How do you like this? I came up with this the other day. And that's when the three of us more or less collaborate into a song. There are times when Tom comes in with like a chord progression or a little strum he came up with, and it'll be the same way. But it depends on how it comes in. Sometimes it'll come in as a piece of a thing, or sometimes it'll come in more structured and almost an entire song, and, we'll craft around that, see what works, what doesn't work. Tom will come up with a vocal melody, and then if I see where a vocal backup can come in or a harmony, I'll put one in. So it's depending on who brings what into the table, it collaborates in different ways.
So I have to ask the ultimate question, which is, do songs appear at inconvenient times? In other words, you're like about to go into the Midtown Tunnel. You got all of a sudden you got some kind of thing in your head, and all of a sudden you got to write it down. You may not have paper, or you may not have a recorder.
Richard, when a good song appears, it's never an inconvenient time. You never forget it. I remember one time driving in my car and I rolled down the window and a song fell into my head. And I had a 45-minute drive ahead of me, and, I didn't have a guitar where I was going. And the next day I sat down and I remembered every bit of it. If it's good, if it's worth it in the first place, it's never inconvenient.
What do you use to capture it? Are you handheld recorders? Do you use your cell phones? Do you use paper?
Well, now with an iPhone and, you just put on the voice memo thing, yeah. We'll use that, but in the past, I just relied on, knocking on my head.
Yeah, knocking on his head there.
Unfortunately, sometimes I'll come up with something and I'm too lazy to record it down, and then usually I say to myself, if it's good enough, I'll remember it. And sometimes I have forgotten some nifty little digs that I've done, but most time I play it. When I come up with something, I play it 100,000 times, and I ingrain it in my head, and I bring it to the band. And
he's brought us 1,000
Tom
things.
just comes up with the lyrics. And
I'm not exaggerating. 1,000 things over the years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. All right, we're going to, this is like flying by. In the minute, we only have like a minute, but let's maybe talk, we'll open the next segment with a song. Let's do that.
Great.
So what's a song that we should do? You want to do, from Beautiful Sky or World is Ready?
Sky. Let's
All
go to
right,
West
so we're going to go Beautiful Sky. And
you want to take something that's extremely different than what you just played.
Sure.
I guess would be,
and now for something completely different.
Driving Fate. That would be a
Which
little
one?
bit-
Which one?
Driving Fate's on World is Ready. Yeah.
Oh,
We got to hear you play guitar, so sure.
all right.
Wait.
So take it from the
Okay, so this CD.
right.
World is Ready.
And
Driving
which
Fate.
World? Okay. So when we come back, we will be listening to "World Is Ready," and I'll just intro the song now. So we're going to take a quick break. So we got Roger, Tom, Victor from Bluerace. They will be playing at My Father's Place Hotel. So if you listen to this in the future, they may have already played, but you never know if they'll be back. So just keep it locked in, and we'll keep all that going. For now, it's just Richard Solomon with the band called Bluerace. They're on Big Radio Records, and we'll be right back. Isn't it exciting to listen to music on the radio, especially new music from local people? It's really cool. That was just a little side comment. All right, we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Jeff Mattson, the Dark Star Orchestra, and you're listening to Richard Solomon on WCWP 88.1 FM.
This is a song called Driving Fate, and this is, you're listening to Bluerace. The album is called World Is Ready. Let's listen in for just a little bit, all right?
Too many people that I'll never have the chance to meet. I see them walking this city, driving in their cars. Oh, I see 15,000 kids who say they play the electric guitar. It's a crazy big world, much better than that. Makes me wanna take a rifle to my TV, maybe beat it with a baseball bat. I feel that I'm getting over, like I wanna explode. Yeah, but then the universe steps in just to remind you who is in control. But it's not too late, we're gonna drive it, gonna drive it. So rebel, you know you get the best of me. For the gun, don't hit it out of it all. Sometimes it seems like I've been driving since before I even learned to crawl. And I don't believe in no fortunes or things that I'll never know. I just got to understand what it is driving me so I can let it go. But it's not too late, we're gonna drive it, gonna drive it. So rebel, you know you get the best of me. Oh, yeah. There's too many houses here on my block. Too many people and all they wanna do is rock. Well, you like the crane that you carry the cost. But me, I'm driving it, maybe I drive to get lost. But I didn't pave the way, I'm just behind the wheel. But it's not too late, we're gonna drive it, gonna drive it. So rebel, you know you get the best of me.
All right, so I have, for those who may be just joining, this is Richard Solomon, and you're listening to Taking Care of Business, and I have Bluerace, the band here, and we've been playing tunes and talking about music and making, creating songs and songwriting and the evolution of music, and it's just really, really cool. Now, let's talk just a little bit. You have an album coming up, and for those who may have seen the WLIR movie called New Wave, Dare to Be Different, there's a scene where Joan Jett talks about coming from the record pressing of I Love Rock and Roll, and instead of going, I guess, taking the master and taking it somewhere else or where it was supposed to go, it went to WLIR, where they played it on the radio, to the shock and horror of the production people and stuff like that at the record label. So in a way, we kind of did that here by playing your new song before it's actually even been put on vinyl or streamed anywhere. We actually featured it here first, so I could actually call Joan Jett and say, "Hey, we're part of the same club."
Of course, we own our masters, but yeah.
Oh, this is as close as I'm going to get. So let's talk about the new album.
Sure.
All right. What's different about it? What do you like about it? What do you think shows a different vision or side of your music that may not have been shed? Maybe you're shining your light on a different part of either your musicianship or your lyric writing abilities or something like that.
I'm going to go there. So
But
I'm going there. The first two records, the songwriting duties were split between me and Roger and me together, and our old bass player who is no longer with the band. And so with this third record, everything that was written, as we said earlier, was either by Roger and me. Maybe there's one or two songs I wrote by myself, and then a couple that the three of us wrote together in the studio. And so, that it's all on us this time. If this flies, it's because we did a good job. If it tanks, we have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Well, you know what John F. Kennedy said. Victory has a million fathers, but loss is an orphan. So like when you win the war, it's like we did it. It's like who lost the war? Oh, it's his fault.
Right. Well, and when we're talking about fathers too, I mean, we got to give a shout out to our buds out at Cloud9 Recording Studios out in Islip. We've recorded actually all three records with them. Joe and Jack Napoli, who are effectively our co-producers, who are brothers in arms, and they're great. And again, we want to give them a shout out for everything that they've done for us and with us.
Now, when you're in the studio, do you get more inspiration in the studio because it's like a lab, or do you get more inspiration at a live venue where you have the energy of an audience? What's the difference? Here we go. All right, cool.
I'll start there. I'd have to say live, because just like you said, when you're getting a reaction from a live audience, nothing beats that. In the studio, you're by yourself. You're in a controlled environment. There's just us three or us four, plus the engineer guys, two other guys. And you're playing a song over and over and over again for how many times until you get it right for ready to record. Whereas live, you get a reaction. Whether it's 5 people in the audience, 500, 1,000, a reaction can never beat that. And that's where I'll say that on that.
Now, would you ever bring friends and family to the studio to get that?
No.
Seriously. Look, they have artificial sweeteners, right?
That's actually a good idea, but no, I agree with Vic that I find the studio a little stressful because this
Really?
is for the money. In other words, you're laying down a solo, and that's, you can do it 10, 20 times, but usually it's the first time you do it is the best, and that's going to be forever on recorded. Live is magic. Playing live, if you come up and something happens and it's just, the crowd, the whole idea, the energy level is a whole different energy level than when you're in the studio, for me.
Okay.
There's a lot of tedium in the studio too. Yeah. There really is.
Well, because it's real.
You're listening to the same thing over and over, and people think, "Oh, this must be so cool." Okay, it's like watching the grass grow.
Right, a whole day on one song, you're fried.
I mean,
Well, look, it's no different than being a lawyer and spending 3 days writing a memo that will only be power skimmed by somebody.
Absolutely.
We kind of touched about this in pre-production, but do you feel pressure that we live in a world now of impatience and soundbite-ness to have shorter music or things not so complex? Like, you remember how Yes used to have albums with songs like,
Very well.
We loved it all.
Yeah.
Right.
Was
one
it
song on the whole album?
Right, or like the whole side would be something like I'm trying to think of like in Going for the One by Yes, there was like
Topographic Oceans.
Tales from Topographic
right,
Oceans.
but what was the one? There was like a whole thing with organ music. It was like done in Basel, Switzerland, and Wakeman did this whole thing. Awaken, yes, right. Now Awaken is like a 22-minute song or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's much unlike Inagata Davida, which is like a 17-minute and 2-second song, because I don't know, that's like a raw song, whereas Awaken is just sort of this whole majestic song with the organ. And I actually saw Yes play at Radio City, and Rick Wakeman actually took the keyboard at Radio City, and to hear them play Awaken on a keyboard, like that was like, I was like blown away.
The organ over there.
Yeah, the organ there is just really amazing. I don't know how it got that, but we've gone from that kind of music, like Tales from Topographic Oceans and Awaken and all these really, concept albums and very, very long. Do you feel that the audiences of today who have their heads buried in their phones and texting and this and that can't really appreciate, longer version music or longer complex music? And is there a pressure on your songwriting or your album creation to yield to that?
No. Not for me, at least. Well, everything that we have written, we're not really thinking, because our songs, we have one song that's at least 8 minutes, over 8.
Yeah, I just put my head down and do the work, and I really don't pay attention to any of that. I don't think about any of that. I don't think we try to sound like anybody. Maybe we do. People are always going to say, oh yeah, you sound, they're going to make that comparison because they don't know what else to say. They don't know how else to make sense of it. But, and I've always been really terrible when like people tell me what to do. Like, you can't do that. I'm like, oh really?
That's the rock star rebellious streak that's coming through.
I mean, I guess so. And so, I don't know if people can listen to a longer song. I don't, did they tune out when they were listening to a song that was almost 6 minutes before that? You played the whole thing. I would like to think that it's a good song and they'd listen through. Who knows? But we're going to do it anyway.
All right, cool. Right. All right, so what else is a nice long song that we can do? Let's see. Let's see. On World Is Ready, which is we already have in the hopper here. What else should we play?
Track 3, You Are Here.
Okay, let's do track number 3. Why don't you introduce the song? Tell us a little bit about the song.
I was standing in a shopping mall, and I was thinking about a girl, and I looked at one of those mall maps, and there was the little red arrow, and it said, You Are Here. And I said, well, I am, but she's not. And there you go.
There you go. All right, so here we go. So you're listening to Bluerace on Taking Care of Business.
A big red arrow on the map to find your heart. I have been studying it for hours. I know every way to go. Still I don't know which way is right. I got my compass
You are rocking with Rich Solomon. I just, when people tell me, do you love radio? I love radio because I get to do things like be with bands like Bluerace, play the music, and share it with everybody. So this is great stuff. So we are in the studio, really in the studio with Bluerace, and we'll be back in just a minute. Keep it locked in. You're listening to Taking Care of Business, and I'm with the band. And this is just more fun than words can describe. Be right back.
Hi, this is Rory Cosgrove, and you're listening to Rich Solomon on WCWP 88.1 FM.
Richard Solomon, welcome you back. This is Taking Care of Business. I'm at the band Bluerace. We're at the studios. We're in Studio One today, and we're spinning some tunes, and we're hanging out, and this is just really great stuff. So let's talk a little bit about, some of the behind-the-scenes things. So I understand there was a great story about money falling from the sky.
I don't know how, but I'll tell the story. So we were playing there's a club on Long Island, on Bethpage, a place called Mr. Beery's, who... there actually is a Mr. Beery, yes, Virginia, and he puts on original music in the club all the time. He's one of the last bastions of original music on Long Island. We could talk about the Long Island music scene for the whole night, but so we're in there playing one night, and I guess he was friends with the owner of another club down the street, which happened to be a strip club, and so the owner showed up, and he showed up with a couple of his girls. And we're in the middle of a song, and suddenly there was this explosion of dollar bills in my face as I'm trying to sing. And, maybe I missed a beat, but I guess they liked our music because they gave us their tips.
So that's pretty funny. Yeah. Now, is there a song in that?
Should be.
If there is, we haven't written it yet. But
So that's a great. So you guys know Epi from My Father's Place. Have you played at the old My Father's? Has anybody played at the old My Father's Place?
Do I have to date myself? Yeah, I played.
You could have been 5 years old and playing the spoons.
That's right. I was 5 with my parents. I played there twice with 2 different bands. I did.
Oh, what were the bands?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm not drawing a blank. I think it's like blocking it because they weren't really necessarily that good. But we headlined one night and got about as many people in the crowd as the Police got in their first time they were there, or the only time they were there. And then played as an opening act for. Now I am blanking, but around.
You have to give me dates.
I was 5.
What was the vibe like? What was it like to play there?
Well, I saw so many great shows there, and to get up on that stage, and it had this tremendous sound system, and Epi was cool back then to welcome unknown bands into his club to play on a night that he hadn't programmed, and it was. I grew up on Long Island. It was the coolest place to see music on Long Island for that whole period of time. And the fact that he's, resurrecting it is just, I wish him all the best. I hope it happens the way it did because it's great.
I'll give you a behind the scenes on my end. I was there today and I saw them take out the soundboards. And I'll tell you, the sound system is killer. It is just, they have really spent so much time, the sound people, headed by Alex and this whole crew of people and Peter, there's all these guys, and they have looked at and tested and did, sound offs where they brought speakers in and they had sort of like, musicians play the music and listening to the sound system. So the sound system's actually custom made for the venue, and they know like the spot where to hang it. And then Mark Mancini, the piano player, was there the other day, and I heard him play, and they were like trying to mic it all up, and they were running that through the sound system. So they are really taking great strides to have really crystal clear, beautiful sound. Because the worst thing is, you go to a place like, I don't want to mention any names, but like, a big kind of, like the Coliseum, right?
Been there. Yeah.
Right. And look, the Coliseum wasn't built for sound.
One big echo chamber.
Right. And nothing against the Coliseum, and I've been there and I've seen some, I saw Van Halen at the Coliseum, and, because, I wanted to, and that's great. But I'm sure that when Eddie Van Halen played, if there was a better sound system while we were there, it probably would have been even more of a great experience than, how phenomenal it was. Nothing against the Coliseum. But I really wish that they had a better sound system in those days. But I can tell you that, what's nice about my father's place now is that it's small and everybody's got like a great seat and the sound really, it's just perfect.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So you'll have to send me an email. Rich, you lied. It sucked.
No, I don't.
Just kidding.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to it because, more to your point, where you go to the Coliseum or even the Garden or any arena, like you said, they're not built for music. They're built for basketball, hockey, whatever.
Right.
And there are a few like Radio City Music Hall that's built for.
Oh, that's built for sound.
The same thing as like what you guys are doing with my father's place, and I can't wait to hear how we sound after the fact and while we're up there doing it at the same time.
Yep.
And I look forward to that because a lot of places we play, it's just acoustics could be anything.
Haphazard.
Now, do you guys record all your live performances, or do you try to record many of them?
Yeah. Most of them. We haven't had any magical nights where we say, oh, wow, we should put this out. But
Magical moments we've had.
yeah, we have moments.
But
But
not
it's
like
mostly
a full whole
archival.
song. Yeah.
What's give me a magical moment.
I think we posted it. It was just the solo on one of our songs. I think it was Left to Turn, and somebody, I don't know, maybe it was my daughter who was filming, I don't remember, but said, "Wow, that came out good. That sounded great." And
we have a
I
couple
can never
of
do it
solos.
again, but it was So sometimes we have these magical little.
It's usually
tidbits.
Roger. It's usually Roger taking a solo.
So let's assume you've either recorded something in the studio or you recorded one of your concerts. Do you listen to it, and then do you listen to it as you, or do you listen to it as someone else to be critical? How does that work? And I know that a lot of people don't necessarily like to listen to themselves, whether they're voice people or musicians. It's like, all right, it's done, move on, or whatever.
We're definitely critical on what we do. I know, but there's a moment that you say, I'm not going to be able to do that again. It was, as I said, a magical moment. It was like it just came out of nowhere, and then you say, that's it. Just leave it alone. And if it came out well and it works for the song, I can always listen to it. It's not a problem. But if it's something that we'll get rid of it. If it's especially for a recording, we'll change that.
In the studio, you talk about the cringe moment. You don't want that because, again, as Roger said before, it's going to be there forever. So if anybody listens to this over and over again, that thing's going to stick out. But
it's like the feedback I had in segment 2.
When you just walked in the door. But we are really critical of what we do because we want to be great. Whether we are or not or ever reach that. If you're not trying to do that, then what are you doing? Why are you doing this?
We try to be the best. The best
we can. Bluerace we can be.
I mean, I always listen. As a drummer, I'll listen obviously to myself, my performance, and then obviously I have to listen to the band because I'm part of the band. I'm not just the drummer by himself. And you listen to it, and it's like, oh, that sounded good. And it's like, maybe you know what, that doesn't sound as good. Maybe next time I'll do it this way or whatever, or the vocals, or you listen to everything. I mean, obviously as musicians, I don't want to speak for every musician, but I want to believe that we're all critical of ourselves when we hear playbacks of what we do, whether it's in the studio or especially live, because live is just like a one-shot deal. You're going out, and those people who are in the audience, more times than not, that's the only time they're going to see you. And obviously, you want to be your best for them. And so you're always listening for playback on that. Where in the studio, like Tom was saying before, it's like it's there forever. So you do it. You do 20 takes of it just to get the right one. And, it's just how it is. As musicians are always critical of themselves.
What is the hardest part about being a drummer in a band?
I don't know if there's anything
They can't
hard about
see
it.
you on stage.
Well, as a joke, yeah, you never get good pictures of me. Because there's some guy back there. I see arms flailing and sticks going, but I that's just a running joke with me in the band. That all the pictures are usually the three guys in the front and some guy back there. You see his arm every now and then.
A hand with a piece of wood.
I don't think there's really anything harder to being a drummer as it is to being a guitar player, singer, or whatever. I'm part of the band, and we're all equally the same.
not only is he a great drummer, but he is one of our secret weapons in terms of doing harmonies, backup vocals that, you listen to some of the stuff on those albums and the parts that he comes up with. And he comes up with them. We don't tell him, Vic, do this.
No, that's one thing
He's
about
great.
the band. We come in with songs and we let the other members come up with the parts. We don't say, no, you have to play this and I want you to play. We don't do that. We just come in and Tom could change the whole thing around and we just, hey, it's a song. It's what it's about.
It's organic.
And right. And that's why it's not an ego-driven band. Nobody's like standing, oh, I'm going to be the rock star.
You're not like Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey just, going at it.
It's more like just we like yourself, what you explained about what you like doing here. I mean, that's why we do it. We're not making money. We're spending money, but
We're making money.
But
We sell lots of records.
Yeah, but we enjoy.
In fact, there's a truck outside.
We totally enjoy what we do. It's just something that I don't think any of us would ever think of giving it up for anything.
So, who are your musical influences? Who do you guys listen to? And what do you listen to before a show, or if you listen to anything at all?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was probably 12, I don't know, 13, maybe younger than that, the Beatles. And the Beatles came out, that was really got me into music. And then
That's true for a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, and it is. And then one day, FM radio came out, and Murray the K, I think it was, said, here's this guy from England. Check it out. And the first song they played from Hendrix was Manic Depression.
Wow.
And that freaking blew my mind. I said, what is going on here? What is that sound? How does he get? And so Hendrix would be, as a guitar player, would be my main influence. And then it branched out to Jeff Beck, I think, is really.
Now, it's interesting. Paul Rogers does an amazing cover of Manic Depression. He did this thing called the Hendrix set. He plays a bunch of Hendrix songs, and he plays one of the best versions of Manic Depression. It's just so powerful, and it's just we don't have enough time to play it, but it's
okay, so we're all used to hearing this stuff for many, many years, but when that came out, you never heard anything like that. That was so out there.
not only that, but Manic Depression is a frustrating mess. I mean, you don't really hear lyrics like that even today. Even with all the touchy feeliness that we've evolved, going forward, express your feelings, use your words, blah blah blah. But nobody says things like that. You don't even see that on a drug commercial, for the pharmaceuticals.
I'm surprised they haven't used that for a drug commercial.
I'm sure the Hendrix estate has something to say about
And
that.
pop music is a young people's game, and I hate that. We're kind of dating ourselves a little bit, talking about playing the old club and things, but I actually saw Hendrix at Forest Hill Stadium open up for the Monkees.
Wow.
I was
What a billing.
just out of the womb. No, I mean, I was
You were
really
crawling.
I was a kid. My father took us. He got tickets from the company, and yeah.
What was that? What was that concert like?
Well, okay, I think I was 7. My sister's like 18 months older than me, and there was another opening act. I think it was Virgil Thompson, the organist, but Hendrix comes out and he's playing behind his head and he's playing between his legs and he's playing with his teeth. And I turned to my sister, who's all of 9, and I was like, what's the deal with this guy? And she turned to me deadpan and she said, well, Tom, that's what rock and roll is like today.
That is a great story.
As far as my influences go, like Roger, the Beatles were my first love. They'll always be my love. But as the years went on, I mean, they still are my first love, but I'm more of a prog rock guy, like we were talking about Yes before.
Yeah.
I love the old Yes. I love the old Pink Floyd, the early Jethro Tull, King Crimson. And then, to modernize it to today, a lot of bands that a lot of Americans don't even know, like European prog rock. That's just my influences. But, Rush was a huge influence on me, especially my drumming over the years. But the Beatles were always my first love, and not just us here, but I mean a lot of musicians throughout the world, throughout history.
Have you seen the Rush documentary?
Yes,
because they played it on Showtime a lot.
Yes.
It's very
actually, I was
very
just watching
cool.
that today.
It was on. Yeah, it was on this morning. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
and it was great. And speaking of the Beatles, I don't know. I don't want to plug anything else, but the YouTube thing the carpool karaoke that James Corden did with Paul McCartney. If anyone has seen it, or if you haven't seen it, you have to. I mean, it made me cry.
Yeah.
because I'm sitting there watching and I'm thinking, this was the first band that I loved, and as good as he looks, Paul McCartney, he's not going to be here forever, and I'm thinking about that. It's like,
Well, musically he will be.
musically, yeah, obviously. I mean, the Beatles' music before I was born, all their hits came out, and they were my first love.
Yeah, one thing that I did on this radio show is I interviewed Kevin Howlett from the BBC. He's the historian and archivist for the Beatles, and that was just 2 hours of phenomenal radio. And then I also interviewed a guy who is Ron Grosselmer, who has a Beatles show up in Poling, New York, and that's a really cool thing. So we don't have a lot of time yet, but in the little time we have left, well, just going from Victor over, what was the first 45 you remember buying? Or the first, album?
Albums?
45 or album, either one. I'll tell you that the first 45 I remember buying was Light My Fire by The Doors.
I don't remember the first one, but I know it was definitely Beatles, and it wasn't one of their traditional albums. It was the Blue and the Red, 67.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I since, and even on now to CDs, I have all their albums, obviously, but it was definitely Beatles. I'm sure it was, and I think it was one of those, or both at the same time. Those red ones,
All right.
red and blue ones.
Tom?
My first 45 was Creedence Clearwater's Down on the Corner, but it wasn't because of the A side. It was because the B side was Fortunate Son, which is one of the most kick-ass rock songs ever written. And my first album was Abbey Road, and I played air guitar trying to figure out when She's So Heavy I Want You ends. And never got it.
And Roger, what about you?
First 45. I remember buying them at a hardware store. I know. I'm immediately when you asked that question, I was saying. That
See, I don't ask the traditional questions.
What was that one?
This is a different kind of show.
The music store?
It was really weird. They had a whole section of records in a hardware store. 45s. I mean, definitely the Beatles, but I somehow when you said that, the first thing came to my mind was the Polka Dot Bikini. Which song is it?
Oh, Eenie Weenie Polka Dot.
And I don't know if I did, but somehow that hit me right away. But definitely,
Those bubblegum pop, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
but definitely when the Beatles came out, that's what I was always going through looking for, would be a Beatles song.
Favorite concerts? We have like a minute, but in 15 seconds, who have you seen and who are you blown away by?
I was in Florence, Italy last summer, and I got to see Radiohead at the Hippodromo in Florence, Italy, and they stopped doing their shows where they said, we're just playing, the latest album and maybe one other song. They played a set that was transcendent, and it was a beautiful night in the middle of, Tuscany. I mean.
My first show ever, which, speaking before, Rush. It was at the Garden. I believe it was 82 on the Signals tour. Madison Square Garden, $12.50 was the ticket. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
But I remember it was the first concert. I was still in high school, and I was a big fan, obviously, at the time. And just, I don't remember too much of the show because it was so long ago now. But the one thing I do remember was Neil Peart's bass drum sounding like cannons, and I'll never forget that. It was just, I was blown away by that. Right. So my first concert ever.
All right, we're out of time. So quick, it's just
the Arms concert.
Oh,
all right.
I was there.
All right.
Yep.
So it's Richard Solomon, Bluerace, amazing band. Go see them. Go see them live anywhere. We'll be back in a week. Take care.